Bunny 19 here. Fanfiction, The Slender Man. I laid in bed in total darkness. I had my eyes squeezed shut with my blanket over my head as I tightly clutched my bear close to my chest. My heart was racing, and I couldn't be sure, but I was certain he was there. I don't know who, but he's here, in my room, watching me. It was like this last night, only I was certain I was safe inside the walls of my home as he was outside, looking through the window. Even with the curtains drawn, he was peeking through the cracks. I finally got up the courage to take a look. Here goes nothing, I thought as I lifted the covers. I sat up in my bed, startled, although I wasn't sure what I was scared about. My heart was racing. I could hear Danny crying on the baby monitor. Maybe that's why he woke me up. I looked over at the space next to me in the bed. Like most nights, it was empty. It seems Nate's been traveling for work constantly ever since Danny was born. I nervously swung my legs over to the side of the bed. I wasn't sure why the dream had startled me so much, especially when I never got to see what was in the room. Perhaps it was only frightening because I had taken the form of a small child. Stupid, I mumbled as I walked into the hall. It's stupid to ponder over a silly little dream and get myself worked up. I checked the time on the grandfather clock as I walked by it. It was 4:30 a.m. Wow, Danny usually woke me up well before then. Hey, Mr. Sleepyhead, I said as I entered the nursery and picked him up from the crib. I managed to get Danny back to sleep fairly easily. Considering I'd probably be back up again in an hour or two, I didn't see much point in going back to sleep. I went back to the kitchen and dialed my older sister Isabella's number after taking the phone off the receiver. To anyone else, calling sometime at this time would probably seem like madness, but Isabella is an insomniac, so she is most likely awake by now, and I know how bored she gets at night. Hey, sis, she answered. Hey, did I wake you? Of course not, she said. What's up? Nothing. I just got Danny back to sleep. How is the little man? He's great. Let me guess, Nate's not home? No, he's working. Kendra, you both have a kid now. Don't you think you should be at home a bit more often to see him? I know, but like you said, we have a kid now, so that means one more mouth to feed. I saw my coat on the couch. Did I put that away earlier? I probably took it off and threw it there when I got home in a hurry to start on dinner. I picked it up and proceeded to the hallway closet. I put it up on a coat hanger, and when I was putting it away, I noticed a box on the top shelf. Hang on, Isabella, I need to put my phone down for a minute. I took the books down and took a look inside. It was full of tapes. I suddenly remembered there were home videos I had stored away. Wow, how long has it been since I watched those? I picked up the phone. Are you there? Yeah, I just found some home videos. Oh, cool! I went to the living room and started watching. The first one was a copy of our parents' wedding video. Once that was finished, I put another on. None of them were labeled, so I was picking them out at random. New tape, I said as I put in the VCR. What's on it? Oh my gosh! This is my first day of school, I said as I remembered that day. It was the day after we got our new car. I could tell because my dad kept filming it. Daddy, look at me! I said in a cheerful voice. My dad panned the camera around to record me, with my lunchbox and hat ready for school. But as soon as the camera was on me, the footage got slightly distorted, with parts of it skipping at the bottom of the screen. Are you excited for your first day of school? My dad said. His voice was weird, deeper, slower, and it almost sounded like a slight audio tune had been added. After that, the rest of the tape was impossible to watch, so I put another on. This one was even more messed up than the other. It was pixelated like crazy. The colors seemed inverted and the sound was so messed up it was impossible to make out anything. Wow, was Mom and Dad walking around with a defective camera our whole childhood? I said, Maybe, Isabel laughed. The only thing I could see in the video was a man in a suit, but the quality was too poor for me to see his face and know who he was. I didn't understand why the first tape was so clear and had such good details and the others could be so terrible. End of chapter 1. Idiosyncrasy made me do it. The Slender Man, chapter 2. I yawned as I took the last steak off the pan and moved it onto the plate. I covered the 2 plates with foil and placed them in the fridge for later. I looked at my watch. It was almost 11 o'clock at night. I don't usually stay up this late cooking, but Nate was coming home in an hour or 2 and I know how hungry he gets after flights. I guess this has become sort of a tradition. I cook dinner, he comes home after being away for a few days, and we just sit up late eating and talking. I took the apple juice out of the fridge and placed it on the bench as I searched for a glass to put it in. I gasped out of fright when I heard a low humming noise that almost masked by an indescribable tune. I turned around and realized it was coming from the small monitor, which was connected to the security camera out front. The monitor was going crazy too. The screen was fuzzy, and the picture seemed to split at some point. God damn, I said, assuming there must be some sort of interference there fault with the camera or monitor. I switched off the monitor and the sound stopped. I turned my head facing the hall as I heard 3 loud knocks. I made my way to the front door and peeped through the curtains, but I couldn't see anyone. I turned on the porch light and opened the door. Still no one. Morons, I said, assuming it was a few stupid teenagers pranking me. I closed the door and went back inside. I collapsed down on the sofa in exhaustion. I closed my eyes, hoping to get at least half an hour's sleep before Nate got back. I was almost asleep when it was jolted right awake by a strange sound. It was similar to the sound I heard from the monitor. Perhaps it was the monitor. I got up and headed to the kitchen. I was halfway there when I realized I turned it off. I decided to check it anyway. Nope, the monitor was off. Well then, where was the sound coming from? Through the sound of the low hum and crazy sound, I heard a small moan, which was familiar. Through the distorted sound, it took a moment for me to realize what it was. Danny, I mumbled. That's when I realized it must have been the baby monitor. I picked it up from the dining room table and switched it off after failure to stop the interference. I walked into the hall, making my way upstairs to check on Danny. I stopped in my tracks and froze in the hallway for a moment. I listened closely to make sure I wasn't imagining things, and to my disappointment I wasn't. I heard the same I heard on the tapes, both monitors, only this time it was quieter, with a whisper of words to go with it. It was too quiet for me to figure out. Frozen in fear, I stood in the hallway. The distorted whimpers had stopped, but only to be replaced by the ear-piercing shriek of Danny a few moments later. I snapped out of my trance and sped up the stairs, bursting into the nursery. I pulled Danny out of the crib and looked around the room. No one was here. I hurried down the hall with him in my arms and proceeded into my bedroom, locking the door behind me. Shh, it's all right, Danny. I reassured Danny as I continued to cry. I pulled out my cell phone out of my pocket and dialed Nate's number. Hey, baby, he answered. I think someone's in the house, I said with a panicked and shaken voice. Wait, what? I don't know. I heard something, but I couldn't even describe it. I heard someone. I heard a voice, but I heard the distortion. I'm almost positive there was no other electronic device that could have been making it at the time. Just stay in the bedroom with the door locked. I'm 10 minutes away. Once Nate was home, we checked every room in the house and found nothing. No sign of anyone or anything. And if there was someone in the house, they'd be long gone by now. He tried reassuring me it was just a TV or something, or my imagination. I agreed with him to put this behind me and not get scared. but I didn't believe it. I know for a fact there was no TVs on and both monitors which had been messing up had been switched off. I've never heard Danny cry like that before. He sounded so scared, petrified, more like it, and I know I heard a voice. I know it! Idiosyncrasy made me do it.